that's what it is. It's that Baba has gotten his way so many times, or he has navigated similar situations in his life. I think we can predict that he doesn't have to, like, he doesn't think twice about it because he can afford not to think twice about it.
Right, so possibly that family was like a lower status, and when they've tried to stand up for themselves before, I mean, it hasn't gone well, so they probably just thought it was like any other time.
Right.
Whereas Bob was like, psh.
You know, like, I've done this, like, this is something,
That's also interesting, like, with America, they stopped talking about the religious differences between Hazara and Pashtun. So, like, basically, it's almost like if you're an American and you're from Afghan, like, you're my friend, like, whether you're this kind of person or this kind of person.
And I think that part of America, like, I think he put it correctly, because honestly, like I'm from a tribe, but if I tell you, if I 98% of the people in this building don't know what tribe I'm from, nor do they care. And do you know what I'm saying? They don't care. You don't know. I'm an Ethiopian because I tell you I am. And I have an accent, so you know I'm not from here of some sort. But so here, all Ethiopians were fine. We're lovey-dovey. But back home, there's literally a civil war and a genocide happening because of your tribe. But in a bigger picture, it doesn't matter. And I think he, like, even though this is a fictional story, I think he captured that America, that the reason why, more than the materialistic thing, is that idea of you're one, you're an American before you're something, or like you're an Afghan, then an American, but at least you're an Afghan, not a Hazara or a Pashtun or something.
I think it's more just looking for, like, the similarity of home, like anything that will remind you of it.
Yeah, grasping onto whatever you have when your whole world is flipped upside down. And then, like, Baba's pride in that car, standing up for that woman, also kind of goes, transfers over to when they got to the uncle's house, and he said, oh, the car won't be here for, you know, how long, or the truck. And he basically, I mean, threw a fit. I mean, maybe I would too. He was really, really ticked. And they had planned on this, and he had been lied to. And I think that also, I mean, nobody else was pitching a fit. I think he knew that he would get his way. And
the entitlement.
Yeah, a real sense of entitlement. So there's a sentence here at the beginning of chapter 11. It says, Baba loved the idea of America. It was living in America that gave him an ulcer.
Yes.
Yeah. Do we want to talk about that?
Yes. I wanted to, like, backtrack a bit, and I'm not one for these things, but I really loved the detail of when they're in that truck van, like the way that they couldn't breathe and everything. I almost felt choked up, and I was like, I have clean air. Like, it's kind of
like when you're driving behind one of those, like, trucks. Oh gosh.
So, like, you're in that, like, it's
just going off of that, I think something else that plays into traveling is when he like meets up with the boy that he like knew that had also been like raped or whatever, and he kind of sees how, like, oh my god, like, that could have happened to Hassan, but luckily he's like fine. But I think it just like, it shows like his like guilt and his like memories going to follow him even though he's kind of burning away.
I think there's a lot of manifestation of how he feels in other people. Like that guilt that just keeps following him around.
I think that ride was like Amir's life, and what he could have done different. Like, now thinking about it, like with Baba, so like what he should have done, or like that rape, like the consequences of things had he done something about certain things. Okay, now back to your chapter.
So America, the idea, and then actually living there.
I think that's more like the American dream. Like, you're told how wonderful it all is, and then the reality of it. Like,
liberty and justice for all. Well, if you're born and raised in America and you're, middle upper class, right?
Yeah.
So I think that was just an interesting little sentence, and I think the whole thing about the. I kind of thought the part was pretty funny about. The market that they do, it's when they go around and get like people's trash or junk, and then they go and sell it, which is a good way to make money. But then they don't talk about Saturday when they might have cut somebody off to get to a garage sale first, and then they go and sell this. I think kind of funny, and how that really shows. Even though Baba's still proud, I mean, he's selling junk at a little market. Like, what do you call those?
I mean, that's
What do you call those? Like when you go?
market?
Yeah, flea market. Flea market. And-
Flea market.
Yeah. So he, he went from being this businessman to going around and getting people's junk when he left so much in Afghanistan.
Just a different kind of business.
Yeah,
Yeah.
like that's yeah.
It's just, it's interesting to see that switch. So anyway, we can talk about rhetoric.
Let's talk about rhetoric. All right. Let's see. Where do we start?
Time before everybody else comes back. Anyone have a bookmark out?
What?
Their bookmark. Anyone have that?
Oh, the book. Do you know? Anna's organized today.
Got it. So, do we want to talk about the tone of? I think there's kind of this section's kind of split into three parts. There's the whole, dismounting from Afghanistan, where it's, the servants leave them and they flee, and then there's the whole journey over with the car to the house, the basement that they stay in, over through the gasoline truck or whatever that was.
Yeah.
And then there's the whole part where they start fresh in America, and then it goes all the way until he's going to college. So we can talk about the tone of any of that. The context is also obviously important. But is it relevant today? Yeah, I would say.
I would say it's pretty relevant with all.
I mean, whether these immigrants are from Syria and they're refugees, or they're from Mexico.
Yeah.
You know a little bit more about that from Arise, I guess.
The stories are pretty much the same, just like the extreme conditions that they had to go through, whether it was walking on foot from like Honduras up or.
And the whole, what you fantasize America to be to what it actually ends up being.
I mean, in this story, like they just go to live in the slums, but I know with like Arise and the immigrants I met, like as soon as they get to the country, they're sent to a refugee camp where they have little rooms and they're separated from their families until they can like contact authorities, and sometimes they're just sent right back.
Right?
And is the tone in America a bit more, at least regarding Amir, like a bit more hopeful? Like, do we see him in a different light?
I don't know that it really changes. Like, I feel like it's a very, like, I don't want to say, like, passive, but it's a very, like, this is, like, what's happening.
I think it's objective.
objective. Okay, yeah. I was just like, I don't know what the word is.
The pathos that we feel is not, they don't, I don't know.
Like,
it's kind of a genius way of writing, because it's not really making it sad. It's saying what it is, and then we feel that sadness.
Right.
Lets you
So they
make
put
a
out
connection.
logos, but then that logo's somewhat.
You create your
that,
own
like,
Yeah, we
secret
create our own
pathos.
pathos for this. It doesn't have to be sappy or, and I wouldn't even say it's real exciting ups and downs. I mean, you know, there's some comic relief when they get the bus and they're driving it around, or when, I mean, they're at that flea market and there's that pretty girl.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know. There's some other points. Oh, the Ronald Reagan thing that I thought was funny.
Yeah.
So there's different comic relief, but all in all, it's a pretty flat. It's told in almost a very flat voice.
Right.
Yeah.
The speaker,
It's just
Amir,
facts.
Which
yeah.
I'm not used to, but
he's
I
telling his story.
love it.
It's like almost reading a nonfiction in a fiction story.
Right. Like, I could believe this is real. Like,
I thought it was real until it said it's not real. I read the back. I was like, it's not real. I was like,
So they do a
okay.
really good job of establishing that ethos. I mean, we trust this. I mean, we trust Amir in his telling of the story. It'd be interesting to see it from Baba's point of view.
Has our trust like increased as we read on?
I think as Amir gets older,
Yes, that's what I'm
I like
thinking.
trust him more.
More,
Mhm.
right?
And as he's trying to pave his own way, he's not so much of a dependent of his father as he is. I mean, he's going to places, to the gas station, to apologize for his father's actions.
Right,
Yeah.
He's grown up a lot.
right. It's true.
And I don't know. I mean, I guess he's probably like 19.
I think they said he was like 18, yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, if he's graduating.
I wasn't sure if he was
high
like
school.
old for his. Yeah.
Right.
I'm reading 2 books right now, so.
That's
Yeah. Something you want to do?
So with this, like, who do we think the audience is? I feel like it's almost like a casual conversation sometimes.
Mm-hmm.
But I feel like it's like more played towards like America.
Mm-hmm.
That's what I was gonna say. I think it's more for Americans than it is.
In the beginning, I wasn't sure, but now that they're in America and it's showing it from a totally different perspective than what any of us can understand, maybe you can understand a little bit more as an immigrant yourself.
Yes.
But I mean, I think it's definitely for us to kind of take a step back, and I'm interested to see what's going to come. If there's going to be a big thing that happens, I don't know if that's a good way to describe it, but a climax.
Or more of a conflict, I
Yeah,
can see
conflict.
coming.
Of the book. That'll maybe make us question that again.
Mm-hmm.
Do you think like in some way like the author kind of like puts himself in the novel as like a mirror, like his personality kind of with how he like is a writer and how he's writing about
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
like the guy he says like, oh, are you gonna write about your like culture?
Right.
And then he says, I write about.
I feel like it's gonna be like a
Fiction.
Gatsby moment where it's like a mirror of the story. I can feel it.
I can't.
But I
spell
feel
any
like-
things.
Oh, you
Oh,
read
damn it,
all
I
of
just
it.
read-
forgot you read this whole thing.
I can't spell anything.
I totally forgot you read it all.
You're enticing me.
No, don't spoil
Don't
this
say it.
one.
What if I do at the end?
No.
Don't.
No. Don't ruin
I
it.
won't. I won't. I'm pretty good at that.
But like I can see that coming. Personally.
Mm-hmm.
And then
Okay.
what makes this like memorable? Like what makes it stand out from other books?
So, have we all read other books about, Afghanistan or the Middle East, like
Mhm.
Gardens of Water or A Thousand Splendid Suns?
Which is the same
Yeah.
author, I think.
It is. A Thousand Splendid Suns is.
Yeah.
Or there's another one too. But so maybe we can compare this to those.
I think.
I don't
think
think they
with,
usually
like,
come over to America.
A Thousand
that's
Splendid
different.
Suns is more just talking about like their marriage traditions,
Mhm.
and you see it from like the woman's perspective,
Yeah.
and this is more like a child's perspective growing up there, I
Which is
think
also
good.
interesting. I don't think we usually see them coming over from America when we
Mhm.
read Afghanistan stories. I don't think I ever have.
I haven't.
Usually they stay there, and it's really, there isn't like a happily ever after. I mean, it just
Mhm.
is what it is.
Right.
I mean, I think with this, like, we see America as this, like, end-all, be-all, like, solution for everything. But I think, like, what makes this memorable is more, like, a reality check for how it is when people actually get here.
Mm-hmm.
And I think it shows that, it's either, like, I mean, the nonfictions, at least that I've read, it's either, oh, if America wouldn't have done this, or if America did this or did not do this. It's all, like, from that point, but when you look at from their point, like, somehow you could see, like, it's not that. It's not America versus the world or this or that. It's just, like, life from a rich person's perspective, not the poor, which you could have, I think the story would have, like, delved in, and they would have never gotten out of America. Like, it would have been a trilogy if they did,
Mhm.
like, and dived into sorrow. But we got a taste of the sadness. I mean, we understood, and then we came to America, and we understand the realistic. It's more painted realistically, and it's not saying like, oh, this one side is guilty or that one side. I mean, Russia comes into this,
Mm-hmm.
so like it's different. It's one author, but at the same time, you get sort of different perspectives on one thing.
And back to how it makes us feel, like reading this as a reality check. We can falter and fall, and we have our families to fall back on, our friends who we grew up with.
Mhm.
I mean, we have community, and though they know the people who they came here with, or, I mean, they're obviously united through their culture, but they're not really like family.
Friends, yeah.
They don't have anyone to fall back on. They're on their own 2 feet, and it's, I mean, America versus themselves. I don't know.
Right.
Like at this point, it's I don't know. And I think that's also a reality check. Right?
Yes.